Well, it's time now to check in with Ina, and you're in a pretty exciting spot. You're at the Prairie Dog Central.
I am. I'm really excited actually this morning. We are at the Prairie Dog Central Railway Station. It's just outside the city, actually in the RM of Rosser. And we really have a treat for you this morning. We have the train. It's now 131 years old. It's been in this location giving tours in the summer months since the 1970s. Now, I'm told that the firemen, you can hear the train behind me now, the whistle's blowing. Now, I'm told that the firemen actually got here like 4 or 5 hours ago to get the fire started to boil the water for the train. We're going to be getting a full history on the train, finding out more about it and how it all operates. We have an engineer that we're going to be talking to, the president of the society as well, and I've already been given a piece of coal actually, so haven't been on my best behavior, I guess, so far.
Coal, like at Christmas, you get a lump of coal when you
Somebody
badly?
did not behave.
Oh,
all right, Ina, I'm going to give you a tip. Get out of the way before that steam ruins your hair, okay?
I know. I wasn't thinking this morning.
All right, well, we'll check in with you in a little bit. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Ina.
Bye.
No,
yay. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll see what Ina can do. She's going to get in the train, maybe shovel some coal. She's at
the Prairie Dog Central.
That's right, Prairie Dog Central. Toot, toot. It's 6:37. Ina's riding the rails this morning. She's at the Prairie Dog Central. How's it going down there?
You know what? It's so exciting to be here this morning. I'm joined by Bob Goch. He is the president of the Vintage Locomotive Society, which runs the Prairie Dog Central. Thank you for being here this morning.
You're more than welcome.
Why has the society preserved the train?
Well, it's the nostalgia. You have a lot of museums, and they have a lot of steam engines and coaches, and they're all static, and people can see them, they can touch them, they can feel them, but you just can't smell the steam and the coal mixed and the sound of the steam locomotive. You can hear it now. It's breathing, and this is what we say. It's a living, breathing, historic piece of equipment.
And it's a passion for you as well, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I love coming out on the train on train days, being inside the train, meeting with the people. I'm also a conductor on the train, and I just love it.
So this train, actually, you have trips that go on every weekend?
Every weekend. We start in May and go to the end of September, regular season, and then we end up with a couple of Halloween runs towards the end of October.
Give us a little bit of a history of the train.
Well, we can start with the steam locomotive. It was built in 1882 in Glasgow, Scotland, by a company called Duffin Company, and she's 131 years old. It's had a few changes over the course of time, but there are original parts on the steam locomotive. And the coaches themselves, we have 5 coaches, and they all range, well, they're all over 100 years old themselves. Interestingly, the coach number 3, the locomotive, and coach 103 were joined together almost 90 years ago and still serve together, connected, which is a rarity in railroading today, where you have a locomotive and a coach.
Now, you've been operating these tours since 1970. I mean, why is it so important for you guys to offer these to the public?
I'm sorry?
Why is it so important for you to offer these tours to the public?
Well, it's important because this is what the history was. Railroading built the nation, and particularly out here in Western Canada, we like to talk about how branch line railroading helped develop the whole of the province, for example. Years ago, this train here where we're standing now, this would be way outside the city. Just a couple miles up the track, there would be a water tower, and a few miles down the track, there'd be another water tower, way before highways. This was your steel highway at the time.
And, and the train itself is operated, today it's operated by steam, right?
Correct, yes.
And so you said when did the firemen come this morning to start it?
Well, this morning, both the firemen and the locomotive engineer showed up about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And to get the fire started, they have to get the fire going so that we can bring the water up to a boil, as I call it. It's a big teapot, really. And it takes a while to build it up to pressure, and then we're ready to go.
And then, when you do go on the trips, how long are they usually?
Normally we leave, regularly we leave at 11 o'clock, and we'll be back here at station about 2:30 in the afternoon. So it's about a 3.5-hour trip. Very leisurely through the countryside. It's nice if you go out in the spring, you see the crops that are been planted, and then later on you see them growing, and then in the fall, of course, they're harvesting. It's very nice.
Thank you so much, Bob. And it's such a beautiful morning to be out right here. We are just outside the city.
Thanks, Ina. We'll check back in with you a little later.
Ina Sadu has a fun job this morning. She's finding out all about the Prairie Dog Central Railway.
That's right, Chris. The train operates from right outside the city. I'm actually in the Arm of Rosser, and there's tours every single weekend for the summer months. The season winds down at the end of September. Right now, I'm sitting in the fireman's seat, and the firemen actually have to come here several hours before. The firemen today got here around 2 in the morning to get the fire started, to warm up the water for the steam engine. And we were talking earlier this morning, and the steam has messed up my hair, as you were talking about. But you know what? It's really amazing where I'm at right now. I will take you inside here at 7:27. We'll talk to the engineer about how this all operates. Now, this train is about 131 years old, but since about 1970, they've been operating these tours on the weekend, and they make one stop in Grosse Isle, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the tours coming out.
Oh, Herr Schmer, your face looks beautiful.
That's right. You're on a train. Let loose a little. Come on. Thanks a lot, Ina. It's time we're going to check in with Ina Sadu. She is at Prairie Dog Central Railway. We'll see if she gets to drive that fantastic 131-year-old train.
Back. She's at the Prairie Dog Central, and the steam has made the hair a little soft, I think.
Just a little bit. Actually, it's really hot where I am right now. I'm in the front cabin part of the train. I'm joined by Jeff Livingstone. He is the steam locomotive engineer. Thanks for joining us. Tell us how the train actually works.
Well, basically, it's a steam engine. So what happens is the fire, which is down here, I'll just show you here, heats the water. This is a big boiler. There's about 1,000 gallons of water in here. And as the water is heated up, it turns to steam. And when water turns to steam, it expands 1,600 times. That's where we get our power from.
When do you actually have to start the fire, though?
If the boiler is cold, it takes about 4 hours to steam up. So we were here early today, so we were here about 2:45 this morning.
Is it actually true that back in the day, people used to cook their food right in that fire?
Absolutely. They used to grab one here. They used to put their steak or whatever they wanted to cook right on the shovel here, put it in the fire, hold it for a couple minutes, and would cook right away, and they'd pull it out and eat right off the shovel.
So show us some of the other features that we're looking at.
Okay, basically I'll explain how the train, how we operate the train. Here we have what they call a reverser. If we wanted to go forwards, we put it right forward like that, and then we pull on this lever. This is the throttle, and what that does is that directs steam into the front steam chest of the locomotive, which drives the wheels, which gives power. If we wanted to go in reverse, we'd go all the way back there.
How fast is the train actually moving when you are taking the trips?
On our trips, we do 15 mile an hour down the track. It gives a nice, pleasant ride. They're very old coaches, so we don't like to go much faster than that. So.
Now, you are actually a volunteer that, an engineer. What is it about this that keeps you coming back, every weekend or every other weekend?
I'm just a real railroad fan. I can't think of a better place to come to act it out. It's a lot of training, but really enjoy it.
And what are some of the other features that we're looking at as well?
Basically, we have, like here, this would operate the bell. This is our brakes. This is our whistle here. Would you like to try the whistle?
I would like to try the whistle.
You have to
Okay,
give it a
let's
real
see.
hard pull there. Hard.
Woo! It's so much louder than I thought it was going to be right here. So how many trips do you guys usually take?
I usually do at least 4 to 6 trips a month, every month. So.
But not every trip is actually steam operated, though, is it?
No, some of our trips are also diesel, too. 3 weekends out of the month is steam, and usually one weekend we take the steam engine out for servicing. So.
Now, the fire that we saw right now, how is this burning compared to how it usually would be?
Actually, the fire in here is very low now. When we're at operating temperature, when we're going down the track, it's so bright in there, it's like looking in the sun. You can't look in there very much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. So we'll be finding out a little bit more about the trip that the Prairie Dog Central takes every weekend.
It's time to check back in with Ina Sidhu. She's been with the Prairie Dog Central all morning.
That's right, Eleanor. Now we are inside the train. It operates just outside the city in the arm of Rosser. I'm joined by Bob Goch. He is a conductor with the train. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing in here. Like, is this pretty much original?
This is original, yes, it was. It was built in 1911, I believe, for Canadian Pacific out of the Anchor shops in Montreal. This is represents pretty well what all our cars are on the train. We have different coaches and they're all different ages, but to say every car on the train is well over 100 years old. The oldest is actually I believe 106 years old.
Now, what are some of the features? Can you describe some of the things that we're seeing?
Well, the interior of the car itself is all oak, mahogany. You know, they had luggage racks. Obviously, they didn't have a lot of luggage back then, but this is where you keep your luggage. You could put it behind the seats. Depending on who you were traveling with, you could take your seats and simply just move the seat back and face the other direction if you like to travel forward or backwards type of thing.
I like having that option. Now, what's that right there?
This here, well, a lot of people have always asked us that question, and you know, some of the women might like to do their nails with it, but it's actually a striker plate for the old wooden matches. There used to be ashtrays, and of course you used to smoke on there years and years ago, but we don't allow smoking on the train anymore. And down below, you'll see right along the floorboards against the wall, that's where the steam lines ran, and the steam lines are what brought the heat into the train.
Now, people can actually take tours on the train every weekend, right?
Yes, we provide tours. You'll meet a gentleman shortly, Bill. He's our resident historian, and he'll walk through and explain every detail about the coach, answer all the questions, right from the steam locomotive right through to sometimes we bring our caboose with us.
Now, you're part of a nonprofit group that, you know, preserves the train and operates these. You know, why is it so important for you to keep that going?
Well, it's not just important for us. I think it's important for the generations that follow. As I mentioned, my grandson, if we weren't doing this, he would read about it and maybe see a picture or see a movie, but to actually, like I say, touch and feel and smell and experience actually going down the track. This is what it was like well over 100 years ago.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bob. Now, these tours run throughout the summer months until the end of September, every weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Go Goldeyes.
Well, it's time to check back in with Ina. She is with the Prairie Dog Central this morning.
That's right, and joining me from a time machine from 1911 is Bill Stannard. He is a historian with Prairie Dog Central. Thanks for being here this morning.
It's awful fun to be here.
Give us a little bit of a history of the train.
Well, the Prairie Dog started running 44 years ago, 1970, and it's been running ever since by volunteers. We represent the railroading of 100 years ago, where there was no other means of transportation. This was the only way that people could get around in the Western Canada.
So since the 70s, it's been operating to give tours, but when was the train actually built? Like, when was it in its peak?
Well, each of our cars is from about 100 years ago, and so before the First World War, we say that that's the period we represent, about 1910, 1913, when Winnipeg was the major city in Canada. It was the fastest growing city in North America, and all the immigration onto the prairies was coming through Winnipeg and going out across the prairie to their homesteads on trains like this.
What was it like to ride a train in that era, 1910, 1911?
Well, life was much slower than it is today, and so we were not as hurried. And I think one of the things that a lot of people enjoyed on the train was the sociability of it, where you'd meet people from other towns and you would talk and visit with your neighbors and things like this. You had the time to do it. And so that was one of the elements they had then that we've certainly lost in today's world, everybody carrying around in their cars. So I think the social element was a big element on the train travel, and meeting people and mixing with other people from all kinds of walks of life.
How is it that the railway helped to build Winnipeg as well?
Well, Winnipeg itself was the entry point onto the Canadian prairie as the prairies were growing with immigration. And so everything came into Winnipeg by train. And goods, for instance, were stored in the warehouses in the Exchange District, and then shipped out on trains like this to the stores in small towns. Immigrants would come into Winnipeg and be processed and then sent out on trains like this to wherever their homesteads were, whether it was in Manitoba or Saskatchewan, Alberta. And so this was sort of, in a sense, the distribution center for the entire Canadian prairie. And that's the 1911 or 1913 era was the period of tremendous growth in Winnipeg. I represent 1911. That was when we started using the Union Station, the Via Station on Main Street. It opened in the summer of 1911.
Thank you, Bill, so much for your insight. And Bill, can be found here giving tours when the trains run on the weekends.
Yeah, Bill with a lot of insight. Thanks a lot for that, Ina. You can catch him down at the Prairie Dog Central Railway telling tales all day long. We're going to check in with Ina Sidhu now. She rode a 131-year-old train a little earlier. There she is, and she's happy about it. Have you ever ridden anything that old before?
No, I haven't. And, you really should get down here, Chris, and check out the train. I just got a full tour of all the cars. It was really amazing. We are inside now. I'm joined by Duffin. She's the marketing manager with Prairie Dog Central. Thanks for being here this morning. Where are we right now?
We are in our 1910 station, which we moved from Polo Park to our current location at Inkster Junction.
Now, where does the train actually leave from?
We leave from Inkster Junction Station Saturdays and Sundays and holiday days from May through to the end of September, plus our Halloween runs in October. We run up to the community of Grosse Isle. Our departure time is usually 11 o'clock, but we recommend people are here for at least 10:30.
And how long have these tours been operating?
We have been operating for over 40 years now. We've changed considerably in the last few years where we have introduced different events, different themes. This weekend we've got the Agricultural Day coming up. We have a magic train. Our Great Train Robberies are very popular. Our Fall Suppers. We have all sorts of different variety of events to please everybody.
I mean, I know that trains fascinate, think of Thomas, like kids are fascinated with it to all age groups. What is it about this tour that has kept it going for so long?
I think the passion of our volunteers really is very infectious, and the people come on board. They really enjoy going out into the rural community. Train travel in Canada for passenger travel in Canada isn't as great as it is in different countries, so it's a unique experience for them.
When does your season actually wind down? So how much time do people have to get one of these tours in?
Our regular season ends at the end of September. We also have 5 Halloween trains at the end of October.
And really important information, how can people get in contact with you to find out more information?
You can go to our website, which is pdcrailway.com, or you can call our ticket office, which is open from 9:30 to 3, Monday to Friday, and the telephone number is 204-832-5259.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine. And really the passion of the volunteers has been so amazing to get a sneak peek into a blast from the past, I guess we could say.
Yeah, it looks like a fun time down there.
Yeah, it does.
It has been a really great morning, so I'm very excited I got to come.
Yeah, and the steam didn't affect your hair that much, so we're glad to see that.
Fabulous.
You can go out for lunch and look fabulous. Thanks a lot, Ina. Have a good Friday.
Ride history this summer. Ride the Prairie Dog Central.